I'm sure that everybody has seen the original JETfind, but over the summer we switched to a new platform. So in order to get to it, it's still the same. You're still going to go to the library homepage, and the big search box right up here is the same. And just how we used to have the tabs, they used to be like over here. Now we have a pull down menu, and it still has the same kind of things. So if you're looking for articles and more, if you're looking for virtual resources, you would click here. Ebooks, streaming movies, anything digital will be here. If you want anything physical, tangible, you click on the library catalog, and that would be anything that's actually in the Malloy Library. And the default is to look for everything all at one time. So I'm doing a very basic search right here. I did a keyword search for the word epilepsy. And the first thing that you'll notice is that we give the kids a quick, it's usually either a dictionary, a subject-specific dictionary or encyclopedia article to just get them started a little bit, and they can view that online if they want to. Or they can start going in here. Now, unlike in the previous version where we had the two different columns, now everything is all pushed together. So you can see in this case, I have books that are coming up here. You'll see what kind of resource it is right up here. So it'll say book, article, etc. If I want to, I can sign in either of these two spaces. You see there's arrows with both of these places. And you'll use the same login that you use to get into Canvas or to get into your email. And there are some advantages to signing in. So you see here, I'll sign in with my malloy.edu. Now you can see that my name is up here, so I know I'm logged in. Next thing I can do is I can change by the date range. I can also choose right here. So instead, we used to have a box that we would check off. Now the box is over here. So availability, you click right here for the peer-reviewed journals. We also now have open access. If you know anything about me, you know that that has become a big passion of mine. I'm a big believer in open access. And so in addition to being able to limit to open access, you'll now also see this little symbol in the records that let you know that a resource is open access. I've just scrolled down a little bit further, and now you can see the resource types. And of course, I could go to show more to see all of them. You could choose articles, book chapters, etc. And the availability, in previous years, I used to tell people not to click the online full text only box. And I still think that that is the case if you are in an individual database. However, if you are in JETfind, and it's fine to click right here, and you'll only be able to see the resources that we all have available. I've scrolled down a little bit more, and now we have the subject areas. Now, what I did is I said to the system, I like the word epilepsy, go through every article, and if it mentions the word, give it to me. But this right here, these articles, 20,000 of these articles were actually tagged as being specifically about epilepsy. So that's going to be a more targeted search. And I can choose a couple of these. This is one of the ways that I usually tell students to narrow down their results list. And there's also language that I can choose right here. So in this case, I chose English. So I have all of my little checks, and I'll click apply filter. And now they're all here. And you can see what filters are active by clicking right here. I can get rid of any of them, or I can choose to lock all of my filters. And this is a really helpful thing to do if you're going to be changing your keywords, so I don't have to start all over again. Maybe now that I have epilepsy over here, I can get rid of the keyword search and maybe add tonic-clonic up here. So I can play around with it. So as you see, I locked all my filters, and in this case, I added late onset to my search. And now you can see how many results that I have. And I can save the search. This is one of my favorite things about the system is how easy it is to build a search at the beginning, and then you can redo that search over and over again. You can also, I'll show you a little bit later, there is a way to build a search and then have an RSS feed or emails when new materials come in that match the criteria for that search. So if you're doing research and you want to keep up to date on anything new that's coming in, this is a really great way to do that. I'm just going to click on these three little dots right here so that I can see all of the options up here. And so now I've clicked and we can see a little bit more. I've just zoomed in on one of those records. So I'm just looking at this thing right here. I'm just looking at it more in depth. So we can see that in this case, what kind of material it is. It's an article. Here's a lot of the information that they need to create citations. They'll be easily able to see that it's coming from a peer-reviewed journal. They can download the PDF straight from here if they want, or you can view it online, and that will bring you to the to either the or one of the results. Sometimes we'll have the same article in multiple databases. You can also see the completed issue. This is something that the students have really been enjoying. I really like it too. If you click right there, it will show you articles that cited this resource. So it will bring you a new results list of all of the articles that cited this or that are in the citations. And that can be very helpful to help people quickly find results. Here are the QR codes. Does everybody know what a QR code is where you scan it on your phone? Here is also where you can email it. Here, if you click right there, it will automatically go into your saved results in your account within JETfind. This is very important. This is called the permalink. If I were to save the URL of the search up at the top in the address bar, that will not go back to this article. Okay, so if I want to go to this specific record, then I need the permalink. In addition, one of the other things that I really like about this system as opposed to the last one is that in general, I'm sure that somebody will find a mistake, but from what I have seen, the quick citing in this system works a lot better than in the past with the old system. So in general, so far, I have been able to trust them. And you can also quickly export it into RIS if you want to bring it into Zotero. So I'll click on the title of the article. And now this brings me to the record. This record will look almost identical regardless of what the format is. So in this case, we're looking at an article, but if it was a movie or whatever, they usually look very, very similar. Here is all of the information we were just looking at that was from the original page. So this is nothing new up here. Over here are all of the different areas that we can jump to. So if you want to just jump to like send it or view it or details, you can jump around. Here is where it will tell you what database it's in. So in this case, it's only in one database, but sometimes I've seen 4 or 5 where they'll list it. That just means that it's the same article in multiple databases. It doesn't really matter which one you click on. Here again is the metadata to make your citations. And this is also another thing that I teach students if they're having trouble coming up with keywords, to look at these subjects that they were tagged in, and that can be a useful way for them to come up with new keywords. For a faculty member, it's a quick, easy way to do a new search. Any of these, click on and you'll be doing a new subject search. I just scroll down a little bit. Here we have the description. Be careful, they throw the DOI all the way down here at the bottom. This is one thing I'm not super crazy about with this system. So you just have to be very conscious about where the DOI is and make sure you show that to your students. And again, you can see what sources this particular article cited down here. And sometimes you'll be able to see the record in PubMed. I'll just X out of this and it brings me back here. Before I go on, does anybody have any questions so far? So another thing that I can do, if I want to, I can click on a couple of these and then add them to my favorites. So let's take a look. Now you can see I've signed in and here are my favorites. You can see how they've turned yellow. So now I know that I've put them in there already. Let's take here we can look and see some of the options that we have. I just clicked on my name to get here. And so now we can see if I go here, this is where I can see all of my favorites that I've put in. So right here are my saved items over here. And if I want to, I can put them into different folders. So like I have a China folder where I can just to keep all of those. So again, that can be very helpful for organizing things. So if I didn't put these into a folder yet. If I want to, I'll click right, I'll check them off and then I can add a label and I can add whatever label that I want. So see right here is China. If I wanted to add it right there, or if I wanted to make a new one, make an epilepsy label, I can do that here. And now we can see the epilepsy ones. So I'll easily be able to see them and I can always add or delete them from here. I can also save my searches, as I mentioned before, especially for a doctoral level or faculty members who are making very complicated searches. Not having to build it over and over again can be a real benefit. And even building a search and then being able to edit it can also be very useful. So I can come here to the saved searches and I can see, and you'll be able to see right here, I had epilepsy and late onset. Those were my keywords. I did a search for everything. Here's my date range, the availability, et cetera, et cetera. And so then over here, now, if I want to, if I click right here, this will bring me to the to an RSS, or I can have it emailed to myself. And then I can also look through the search history, which I know can be particularly important for doctoral students, to be able to have their search histories in there. Does anyone have any questions on anything that I spoke about? I tried to keep it real quick. Does it seem like it's a better system than the last one?
Thank you, Susie. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.